Hey, today I want to show you how to make a sticker book just like this, as I shared in my other video. Ooh, look at that light shining. That's really awesome. Anyway, I'm going to show you all the supplies that you need to make this. First of all, you need a large piece of tag board. This will give you a sticker book that's about 10 to 12 pages, with including the front and back covers. Next, you'll need a good pair of scissors, some pins possibly, and a needle and thread. And it doesn't matter what color of thread that you use, because you will be covering it with some really cool tape. You can use like this type of tape, like a scrapbooking fun tape, or duct tape, fancy duct tape, or any type of tape you want. Just, it should be something that's not clear so it covers up the stitches in the book. So first step is you want to take your piece of tag board and fold it in half, like a big greeting card. And line it up as good as you can. I know you can't see this right now, but like this, and crease it the best you can. Nice and tight creases. And you want a nice tight crease so you have a line of where you're going to cut it. So then you're going to cut that right down the middle. See? Right down the middle on the line that you just folded. So you're cutting this tag board clean in half. So now you have two pieces of tag board. Then you want to fold it once again, like this, like another big greeting card. And as you cut it, it's not going to be completely even, but just try to get it as closely as you can when you fold it. So just keep creasing really well. I'm going to do that with both of these. Again, greeting card fold. So now you have two more. You're going to cut this one in half, just like we did with the big piece. Right down the crease. So you have two here, and then we're going to cut this one in half. And you have two here. Now, let's see. Now you guessed it, we're going to fold it again. Yet another greeting card fold. This will be your last fold because this is the proper size for the sticker book. So you want to take all the pieces of paper that you cut, the 4 pieces, and fold them. Now it's fun to have really bright colors for these sticker books. My local Dollar Tree sells pieces of tag board for about 69 cents each, and they have really fun bright colors, like the pink, the bright green, they have a bright neon blue, and then just some regular primary colors as well. You can do white if you want, you know, you could do whatever color you want. But I like the fun bright colors because stickers reminds me of the 80s when I was a kid, and I was in love with these neon colors, which we called fluorescent back then, and this was like my favorite color in the 80s. But now it's purple, but it's always kind of been purple. So now if you're a perfectionist like I am, you might want to go and trim some of these pages, but for the sake of this video I'm not going to right now because they're probably going to be covered with tape anyway. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 of these giant greeting card like folded tag bird pieces. So you're going to open it just like a book, and you're going to place each page inside one another, just like this. Straighten them up, nice and neat. So there you go, there's your book. You've got pages, the booklet. Now comes the part that's just a little bit tricky. Now you want to thread your needle. Now when you tie your thread, you want to make at least 3 or 4 ties to make a nice big knot so that the thread does not slip through the hole and you're poking it through the pages. So a pretty good knot there. Okay, so what you're essentially going to be doing is sewing a spine, kind of a spine, but sewing down the spine of the book. Now the reason why I said you might need pins, because it depends on how strong your needle is. Going through several pages of tag board is a pretty thick thing, you know, to poke it through. So I would recommend starting in the middle, that way your pages don't slip, and taking a pin and poking a small hole through. See, there's the pin. And like I said, you're going to be covering this thread with tape. So go ahead and poke your needle through that same hole. Pull it through. So you got your first thing. Okay, so when you're going to do another stitch, you don't want a huge stitch. You want like just a little bit further from where the original stitch was, not too far. Now you can try to force the needle in, but it might hurt your fingers like it is with mine. So you can kind of poke it to get a guide hole, and then get your pin again, poke it through, straight through, and then you can put it back in there. So you've got your first stitch in your book. It's really hard to see, it's very fine and small. So now, of course, that's the outside, and your thread's on the inside now, so you're going to make another one. So again, you're going to poke a hole not too far from where your thread is sticking out. I want to say not too far because you want this book to stay together. If you want to make bigger stitches because you're in a hurry and you just want to get this done, you know, whatever, that's what you want to do. But this is going to keep your book together a lot better. So there's your stitch on the inside. So you just keep doing that. It will go on the outside of the book, then the inside, the outside, then the inside. It'll take a few minutes, but it's worth it. These sticker books probably would be great for, you just have a bunch of stickers laying around, you have nowhere to do, nothing to do with them, and you want to display them somewhere. then that's a good thing, because that's what I did mine for. But they also make great gifts. Just, you know, make a blank sticker book. Maybe design the cover and then give it as a gift to kids or friends or whatever, you know. Could even be a scrapbook. So I'm just going to kind of do this a couple more times, and then I'm going to cooking show it, where I show you my finished product. And you may need to, you know, rethread your needle, because if you didn't get too much thread on your needle, you're probably going to run out, because it's just like regular sewing, you know. As you can see, I've got 3 stitches here and 3 stitches there, so it's coming together nicely. This is going to hold all these pages together. So when you get down to the end, you want to be sure to tie off your last stitch very well. And the simple way to do that, which my mom taught me years ago, is to take your needle and go under your last stitch that you made, pull it up, go through the loop, and you do that a couple of times, and that makes it tie a knot on its own. But if you don't feel like that's secure enough, you can go ahead and just do it the old-fashioned way and just cut it and then tie a little knot. So, okay. Be sure to pick up all your needles and your pins so you don't poke yourself later. So any stray threads on here you want to cut off, just so they don't get in the way of your taping process. So there you have your stitched book. Now the next part is the taping process. And what I mean by that is you're going to have a nice edge around the book, and in the very middle of the book there will be a nice piece of tape to cover up the stitching. So you want your tape, and then you don't want a very big piece of tape. This is the thickness of mine. And first of all, we're going to do that middle of the book. So you just want to take your tape, put it down the middle here. It's okay to stick it off the edge, and you're just going to press down in the middle of the tape very nicely. Make sure it's all smooth and even. And it's okay to go ahead and fold that over, because we're going to be covering that side of the spine too. And then go ahead and cut the roll off and fold that side over too. So this is your middle. It's going to cover that thread that you sewed into the middle of the book. Now we're going to do this side. So get your tape going again. So since you have that little piece folded over, you can start at that piece right there. You can overlap it just a little bit. Come down. Push it down and then cut it. So you're just going to push the tape down nice and smoothly. If it helps, fold it and do it. So there you go. Your thread is covered up. Can't see any thread. It's very nice, very neat. So now we're just going to take and go along the front of the book here, 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 and then the same thing on the back. This is just a little bit different than what we just did. This, you want to, it's kind of difficult for me to show you how to do this right now. Just a moment. This you only want to lay half of your tape on here. So let me show you what it looks like on this side. You only want to lay half of the tape across this part so that you have some left over for folding over. So this is only going to be your front page. It's okay to go over a little bit. I mean, cut off, leave a little bit of a tab. So this is what you got here. Your half tape. And we're going to fold it over, increase it. Don't worry about that little tab there, we'll cut it off in a minute. Put your little tab off. And you have your first edge. Very nice and neat. Now we're going to do that with the top edge. So again, you want to place it on the top, and remember you're having some of the tape sticking over. You're only putting half the tape against there. So leaving a small tab, trimming it off. Make sure you're not folding it over the second page. So here you go. This you may have to stretch it open wide enough so that you're not overlapping where you can't close your book. You're folding it over, nice and neat, nice and even. I'm cutting that little bit off. So there is your top and your bottom pieces of tape. Now we're going to do this edge right here. This is a longer piece of tape, obviously, and we're going to do the exact same thing that we've been doing with the other two sides, where we put the piece of tape along the edge, just half of the tape. And this I would suggest to go over a little bit, like you did with the spine, because we're going to be folding it over anyway. Oops. This can get a little tricky, but you want to just stay with it and try to make it nice and smooth. You don't want to waste the tape too much, but just like a little bit of a tab there. So, again, fold the tape over. If it doesn't match up completely, you can always fold it over on the corner. Trim off any little excess pieces. Make sure it's nice and trimmed. And there you go. Here's your cover. Really nice, really neat cover. And then you're going to do the exact same thing with the back page to give it a nice finished look. Now I should warn you that it might get a little bit tricky when you get into this corner on the back, and if it feels like you can't open the book, there's a little spot where you can just make a tiny cut in your tape so that you just open the book back up. Be careful not to cut your page, you're just cutting the tape. And there you have the back and the front of your finished book. Now see, this is what I'm talking about. You may see a little bit of page overlap here because that's, you know, how I didn't trim it in the beginning. You can always do that in the beginning if you want, but it's kind of hard to judge it before you put that tape down, but you could always trim it afterwards and make it just as even as you'd like. But you got to be careful because you might end up cutting the tape again, and you wouldn't want to do that. But if you're not that picky and you're just, you know, having fun with this, then there you go. So you have a book that is, so you have a 13-page book here. 14, 15 if you are counting the cover and the back that you want to decorate. And as I did with this one, you can see I wrote stickers on it with a marker, with a silver Sharpie marker. So you can design this cover any way you like. You can put your own name on it, you know, and personalize it, or a child's name or your friend's name or whoever it's for. Or if it's a scrapbook or even a little photo album, you can write whatever you want on there and just, you know, have fun with it and be creative and make an awesome sticker book. Later.